It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host for today, Kevin McIntosh, joined by my colleague and co-host for today, Jake Schaff. What's going on, Jake?
Things are great, Kevin. It's Friday. We finally almost made it to the weekend. It's right around the corner, but we've still got a little bit of work to get into and a lot of great stories to tackle today, so let's not waste any time.
Per usual, getting straight to it, starting off with a West Bloomfield High School alum making his way to Broadway. A big congratulations are in order for the 2018 West Bloomfield High School alum Blake Ehrlichman. He actually joined the cast of Dear Evan Hansen as an understudy for the parts of Jared, Connor, and even Evan Hansen himself. Now, it's been declared one of the most remarkable shows in musical theater history by the Washington Post. Dear Evan Hansen is the first musical to take a groundbreaking look from the viewpoint of both parents and young people at our complex, interconnected, and social media filled lives. Now, it's been very, very successful. As a matter of fact, the Tony Award-winning Best Musical is on its second tour as of right now. So it's been very, very successful, and we want to say congratulations and much success again to Blake Ehrlichman, West Bloomfield High School alum, West Bloomfield's finest on the road, showcasing his talents. A great thing for us to talk about right here on the show, Jake.
Absolutely. These are the kinds of stories that I always love to hear. I was a theater kid myself in high school. Those were some of my favorite memories, and it's always so exciting to hear about somebody who really immersed themselves in high school theater and then used that and has made it to Hollywood or Broadway or any form of media and is doing what they love. So yes, big congratulations to Blake. Break a leg when he's out on the stage, and this is only the beginning for him. This is so exciting.
Of course. Figuratively speaking, go out there and break a leg, Blake. We appreciate everything that you've done so far in your successful career. Now, keeping things local and just talking about ways that you can actually help yourself be a little bit more efficient. There actually is a hazardous waste event locally right here in West Bloomfield and a shred day allowing you to have the opportunity to throw away some of those liquids, those old batteries that are just taking up space. The West Bloomfield Township is offering this household hazardous waste and electronics drop-off event that'll be actually for the residents of West Bloomfield, Kegel Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake. And that'll actually be held on Saturday, September 21st, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. That's for residents, right? But for our seniors, they do have a special event or a special time block for you all. That'll be on Friday, September 20th, 4 to 6 p.m. for our seniors. You must show your ID, also just to prove that you're a resident and that you are a senior of the community in order to take advantage. And along with that, there'll be Shred Day that'll be happening the following week, giving you an opportunity to take your confidential documents and just documents and paperwork with confidential information and shred it properly so that you don't have to worry about any type of hacking or identity fraud or theft. So that shred drop-off day will be Friday, September 27th, 4 to 6 p.m. for the seniors, and on Saturday that'll be the 28th of September, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. again. Great opportunities for you to go clean out your house, do your purging. We heard of spring cleaning. Let's do a little bit of fall cleaning too. There are certain materials on that list that you can drop off and that they will not accept also. So get up to date on all of that information. Go directly to the website of the township, wbtownship.org. And we talked about this before already, Jake, but just another reminder for the community to let them know that if you do have these types of things piled up in your home, this is a great opportunity to go out and properly dispose of that material.
Yes, this is the time to Make sure you clean out your house and get rid of anything that could be dangerous and that you don't need anymore. This is the time to do it, and this is the safest way to make sure everything gets put away properly. So yes, very important event. Hope to see a lot of people out there, Kevin.
Yeah, let's not have any of that toxic waste in the garbage creating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's do it properly. WBTownship.org for more information. Now, since we are in full swing of football season, we like to talk about the Lions, but we want to focus on our West Bloomfield Lakers. They officially kicked off their football season last week, week 1, with a dominant victory over Chippewa Valley right here at home. But now they're actually continuing their season this week. And actually, last week, they continued even during Labor Day weekend to get their practice in to prepare for this week. And our very own Tyler Keefe actually took a moment to review week 1 with Coach Hilbers after the L Boys got to that 1-0 start.
I'm Tyler Keefe, alongside head coach Zach Hilbers on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. The Lakers coming off an emphatic win in week 1, 42-0. Your initial thoughts on that first performance against Chippewa Valley?
I mean, it's always good to win week 1, and you feel really good, I guess, when it goes down the way it went down. You know, it wasn't perfect, but it rarely is in high school football, so we're really happy with how the year started. We just hope that, we kind of keep our focus going forward.
What were some of the key points that you were impressed with your team, especially defensively with your team coming out and making plays really from the jump against a tough offense?
Yeah, that was the best part to me, was like we were ready from snap 1, and obviously Corey made a really big play to start the game off, which was huge for us. And we kind of made a few mistakes after there on all phases of the game, but we kind of kept our composure, stuck to our stuff, and as soon as our offense found its footing, they started to move the ball and score too.
What do you think was the difference maker in kind of finding that footing after those early stumbles?
Well, it really was. We had a bad snap on a drive, which killed, I think it was a 2nd and short, all of a sudden became a 3rd and long. And then we had penalties on the other drive. So any drive that game where we didn't have a bad snap or a penalty, we scored. So as soon as we kind of, I guess, got those jitters out of the way, we, like I said, stayed in it and trusted it and did okay.
That was something that was really interesting about this matchup this year and this week 1 for the Lakers, is it didn't seem like those preseason jitters, those early season jitters, took as big of a toll on that team. Is that something that you noticed as well from the coaching staff side?
Yeah, I would say so, and a lot of it is because we made it just a play or two. Sometimes if you make a mistake, you can let it kind of spiral and it affects a series or a quarter. We made a mistake on a couple play here, a play there, and we kind of moved on and did the job after it. And you can get away with a lot more if you have that mentality.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball. Coming into this season, we looked at the youth of this team, and it was kind of a 50-50. Is this going to hit in week 1 or early on, or are we going to see some growing pains? It looked like these young defenders were really well prepared and came out and executed. How impressed were you with the younger players coming up on that defense, especially in the secondary, and their performance in week 1?
Yeah, I was really happy with it, like you said, because Chippewa Valley's got some athletes. They got some really good receivers out there, and we were able to kind of execute our game plan, and they look pretty good. Mistake here or there, but like I said, that's going to happen. It's our job to coach them up and get better from there. The challenge this coming week is going to be a lot different. And a really physical team that's going to try to hit you in the mouth, so we just got to be ready for a different style of football.
We saw your team be really confident after that 42-0 game, and even throughout that game, which is great for early on in the season, but like you said, it doesn't get any easier from here. So how do you keep the team focused as they're going through that 42-0 blowout win in week 1, and then as you refocus them after that, celebrating the win, but keeping focused on the 8 weeks ahead?
Yeah, it's something we talk about all the time as a team, that, life's like this and football's like this. It has peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows, but it's our job to be like this. So when things are going really, really well, like it did for us last week, it's our job to stay level-headed and, be ready to prepare the next week and play the next game. And then, the other side of that is when things aren't going your way, is can you have the mentality and, I guess, the fortitude to fight yourself through it. So, we've talked about it a lot, but at the same time, we got to do it too.
Jeremiah Benson on that defensive line, he was an absolute bulldog in that game. That goes for everybody else, Tank, Travis, the whole group in that defensive core. You looked at that as being a critical part of this team this season, especially on the defensive side. How impressed were you with their performance, these upperclassmen coming in and really a tough act to follow after the D line you had last year.
Yeah, it's you don't really find too many Brandon Davis Swains. I've seen one in my years here, so it's a tough act to follow, like you said. But we knew Jeremiah was really good, and we don't need him to be Brandon. We need him to be himself, and he did a really good job of that because he can be a very, very good player. When he reaches his full potential, it's going to almost feel like we didn't have a drop off. And I never would have thought after a guy like Brandon leaves, you could say that. But Jeremiah can be a very, very good player.
On the offensive side, very similar story for Joshua Tate, who a year ago kind of had those expectations of being that next great Laker running back. Didn't quite have the season statistically you would have thought he would have, but did all the little things really well. He comes into week 1 this week, primary ball handler in the backfield, 2 touchdowns. How impressed were you? How proud were you of him to have a game like that and get that off his back?
And I was probably, of the kids in the team, I was the happiest for. It'd be like Josh and Jamal Shakespeare, who put in a ton of work. They're really good kids. I mean, Josh does so many little things right in the school day and for our football program and for our team. So to see him, kind of reap the benefits of that, it's really why you get into stuff like this, coaching and teaching and stuff. He's the type of kid you would root for if you know who he is. So I'm really, really happy for him that he got that success.
Coach, before we take a break here, your key takeaways from week 1, what you're looking to see improved from that Chippewa Valley game onto this road game coming up in Birmingham.
Well, we kind of mentioned it, but we be excited, be really happy because you saw the process worked, and when we went and executed our game plan the way we wanted to. But we talk about it all the time, is that highlights are good for a team, but mistakes are what really win and lose games. So if you have too many mistakes, you're going to lose, and if you eliminate your mistakes, you got a chance to win. So I guess that'd be our biggest sticking point.
And great energy and recap that we got from Coach Hilbers, just talking about Lakers football and how they did last week against Chippewa Valley. But tonight, the Lakers take on the Falcons of Birmingham Grove. That'll be for their first away game of the season, by the way. And you can watch that entire episode of This Week in Laker Football on demand on our website, as well as watch the game live on our website, civiccentertv.com. And you can watch on our YouTube, Civic Center TV, and Facebook, Civic Center TV 15. Keep up with everything right there. Now, one thing that's important for our students, Jake, is their nutrition, specifically in high school. So the food that they eat and consume has to be extremely healthy for them to perform on and off the field, Jake.
Yeah, not just for the athletes at these schools, but for everybody. You got to make sure you have the best food possible to keep your body and your mind strong as ever. And some big innovative changes are being made here with the West Bloomfield School District. And here to talk a little bit more about it is the food service provider for the West Bloomfield School District, Lindsay Torres. Lindsay, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you guys about our fun, exciting changes that we have here at West Bloomfield School District. My name is Lindsay Torres, and I'm a food service director for Aramark of West Bloomfield Public Schools, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here with us, Lindsay. So explain to me a little bit about some of these big projects that are currently planned with the West Bloomfield School District, because I understand that there's quite a few exciting possibilities to come with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started here in March, and I'm so excited to bring some changes to the nutrition program. So we recently purchased some Flex Farms through Fork Farms units. So our students are going to be interactively learning about growing our own produce. And so that's fun and exciting. We will be able to fully sustainably feed a population of 1 elementary school. And so we hope to expand that program in the future and be able to purchase more units and keep our produce as fresh as possible. So we're so excited to engage our students with that program, as well as a great switch from frozen to never frozen, or frozen bread to fresh bread. So fresh, never frozen bread is our new focus for this year. And we will be bringing in Cochran Brothers Bakery, which the owner is actually a proud Laker. So she was born and raised in West Bloomfield and still lives in West Bloomfield. So we're very excited about that, to kind of move away from the frozen products that the industry was inundated with during COVID and get back to a wholesome program. As well as we've purchased some great technology to monitor our coolers and monitor our cooking processes. So it's called Smart Sense by Digi, and we're going to be actually able to monitor in real time our coolers to prevent, massive loss during power outages, which will protect the integrity of our program and the freshness of our food, as well as our cooks will have live smart temp thermometers, which actually is a coaching tool, because if they overcook food, they'll be asked to, take some sort of action. And there's great documentation when you're using upgraded technology there.
That is great. So many great things to hear from this. It's always great to take those steps to make the quality even better. And I want you to go into a little more detail about this Smart Sense technology, because it sounds very, very fascinating. And I want to know how it's starting to be implemented in these practices.
Yeah, so absolutely. It's the best part, in my opinion, is those handheld smart probes. So, it's hard for me to be in 7 buildings at once. And so, it comes down to staff training. And once they're on their own, it really guides them through the process of cooking. So they're going to actually put the probe into the food. Let's just say it's like chicken, right? We all know that to be safe, chicken needs to be cooked to 165 degrees. So, for example, if the probe, says it's 140 degrees, it's going to ask the cook to take an action to bring it to temperature. And the same for cooling. So it'll actually say, call a manager, or, this food has not reached under 41 degrees in a critical control point time. And it also helps us to digitally chart our HACCP documentation, which is required for what we do. So we're going completely digital and moving away from that old school pen and paper to take temperatures and record temperatures. So that's going to be huge for us.
Great to hear. Lindsay Torres is joining us right here on The Splash, food service provider for West Bloomfield Public Schools, talking more about some of the processes and the programs that are going to be implemented this school year. Now, another big part of a lot of these practices, the term I keep hearing is hydroponic gardening. And I want to know a little bit more about that and explain some of the benefits of that practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of you might be familiar with an arrow garden that you might have in your home. So it's basically a light bulb that helps to grow the plant. And there's a water tank in the bottom with soil pods, and actually each pod will grow a plant. We're going to be focusing solely on lettuce at Chico Elementary, so we're so excited. And it's a great opportunity for the kids to take part in planting and harvesting, which teaches, great life skills. As they grow into adults, they'll be able to know how to garden and how to feed themselves and grow tomato plants at home, let's just say. It's a real life hands-on experience with photosynthesis, which is how plants feed themselves using sunlight and water to grow. And so the benefits are great because you can get a large amount of volume of lettuce in a short tower. So, the unit is about 5'2", my height. And we can grow 25 pounds of lettuce every 28 days. And so the lights are all energy saving, and it takes about 2 hours of maintenance per week to load the water into the tank. And we're live, we're growing lettuce, and we're able to harvest in 28 days. So that lettuce is actually going to be seen on the salad bar for the students. And anytime you cut produce, the minute you cut it, it's starting to lose its nutrients. And so when we're harvesting, basically harvest to table, which is why it's called fork farms, the students are really going to feel more full for a longer period of time, enjoying the produce that's coming from those grow units.
Wow, that all of that information is so great, and it's great that the kids will be able to take these practices home with them and hopefully start to create gardens of their own. And it's not just the kids who are learning from this, I'd imagine the teachers as well. And I want to know what some of their reactions have been to these programs that are starting to be implemented.
Well, honestly, it's so refreshing, to see teachers really have a heart for what they do. They're so excited. This is actually something they've been interested in for a long time. And now we have, the energy and the time and dedication to really come together and partner with the school staff, the teachers and administrations. And actually, Principal Blaine McDowell has been very supportive of this program. And, the kids are going to be really hands-on in the cafeteria, planting and harvesting. And, those are memories that kids will hold for a lifetime from school. And we're so happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So much, a lot of benefits to come from something like this. Lindsay, I got one more question for you before we let you go. You've already planned so much for the school year. What do you see in the future? Is there anything else you've got in mind for the rest of the school year or beyond?
Yeah, actually, I have big, lofty goals. I'm here to bring a fresh approach to some of our programs. I look forward to doing chef pop-ups in our cafeterias and engaging the kids how to assemble their own food and create their own recipes that are simple but enjoyable and healthy enough to do at home. So it's kind of like a little chef's program where we're, doing a demonstration in front of the kids during lunch and always focusing on recipes that are healthy and nutritious for them and easy to do as a kid, to grow those life skills. So we're looking forward to implementing that, as well as, we've applied for a 10 cents a meal grant, which is a financial support for Michigan school districts to actually purchase Michigan grown produce, like Michigan apples, blueberries, corn, all fresh produce grown right here in Michigan. And it's a very untapped market right now. We look forward to farmer support and wish me luck that we get that grant, because I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Best of luck with everything you have planned, Lindsay. Thank you so much again for your time today. The Food Service Director for West Bloomfield Public Schools, Lindsay Torres, on The Splash this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Kevin, all of this stuff sounded so exciting, and all I'm thinking is I wish that a lot of this stuff was implemented when I was in high school. It would have been so great to have a lot of this hands-on experience with the food and to grow it myself. This sounds incredible, and I can't wait to hear what's to come of this with the school district.
I look at photos of, viral photos of some of the school lunches that we used to eat back in school. Now, at the time, those square pizzas with the pepperoni it was the best thing ever. But when I look at it now, I'm like, I can't believe we used to eat that.
Right.
But nonetheless, I'm glad that the effort is going towards to actually get, healthier food options and just being more conscious consumers. So I love that work and that effort also. So great interview, by the way, Jake. Great discussion right there also. But since we want to continue to talk about things locally in our community that affects our residents, earlier in the week we did have an opportunity to talk to someone about a stormwater runoff and community construction. Really, the Road Commission of Oakland County specifically planning a $350,000 project to replace a 90-year-old culvert located on Green Lake Road in West Bloomfield Township. Now, there are a few different perspectives about that project that we want to kind of unpack. But join us right here live on The Splash to talk about a little bit more detail. Senior Communications Manager for the Road Commission of Oakland County, we have Craig Bryson joining us right here. Thank you for being here, Craig.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So I want to take my time with this first and foremost, Craig, and just break this down and just present the facts as they are. Starting off, and I know we talked about this already, but I want to kind of talk about it a little bit different. This culvert project that we're talking about, there's a few things going on, but I want you to just give us an overview of the primary objectives and the timeline for that culvert replacement project.
Right. So this is a fairly typical culvert replacement for us. This is, as you mentioned, it's a nearly 90-year-old culvert. The culvert is failing.
Right.
Our only objective here is to keep the road safe and open for the long term. The danger is if we do not replace this culvert in the near future, we would have to close the road because it would become at some point unsafe to cross that culvert. So as we do multiple times every year, we are simply coming in, replacing that culvert with a new culvert to maintain a safe road on Commerce Road there.
No, absolutely, and I love that you presented that and laid that out right there. So with that being said, I want to talk about this. The culvert, if I'm not mistaken, currently allows water from Green Lake and South Lake to flow underneath Commerce Road, and which is currently being used by over 8,000 vehicles daily, like we just talked about. With that being said, how is the Road Commission ensuring that water quality and environmental concerns raised by residents are addressed in this project?
Great question. First and foremost, we sympathize with the concerns of the residents. We have met with many of them. We've talked to them. We understand their concerns. The challenge for us is we do not have legal jurisdiction over water at all, water flow, water quality. The Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy has that jurisdiction. In order to do anything that touches that water, we need a permit from Eagle. And Eagle wants to ensure that the water flow remains exactly as it is today. So they are mandating that we replace the culvert with a new culvert that does not change the flow of water at all. And that is what we will do. We will put in a new culvert. Whatever water flow is there now will be the water flow when we are done. We will not increase it. We will not decrease it. We will not change it. We will restore it as it is today.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And with us right here live on The Splash, talking a little bit more about that 90-year-old culvert replacement on Commerce Road in West Bloomfield, Senior Communications Manager for the Road Commission of Oakland County, Craig Bryson, kind of getting a little bit more into that a little bit. What steps are being taken, if at all, to prevent erosion and protect the natural stream bed during and after that construction project?
Right. So again, Eagle regulates that, and they have some very strict requirements that we are required to follow.
Okay.
They will not issue us a permit to do this work unless we ensure that we will follow all these steps. So there are very careful steps we take during the project to ensure that the water flow doesn't change. There are very specific steps we take when we restore the new culvert to make sure that the water flow doesn't change. We have to model the water flow before we do that, ensure that the construction does not change that, ensure that the final product does not change that. We are following all those steps. Construction process will ensure that, and the final design will ensure that.
Okay. Good. So it seems like, from your perspective at least, you are doing everything within your power to pretty much make sure that you are abiding by the guidelines and still doing things to make sure that we are being proactive when it comes to our commute and our residents and things of that nature. And we do appreciate that clarification, Mr. Bryson. Lastly, before we go, any other important information that we may be missing or that you just want to let the community know about this project in general?
Just to reiterate, I think everybody knows that the project will require the road to be closed. That will be in 2025 because we're entirely removing the existing culvert and putting in a new one. And we can't do that without closing the road. So we appreciate that that'll be an inconvenience for area residents and motorists traveling through the area. Unfortunately, we have no choice but to close the road. We have created a detour route that will be Commerce Road to Union Lake Road to Willow Road to Hiller Road and back to Commerce Road. And we'll complete the project by the early fall of 2025. We'll start in the summer of and restore the water flow to exactly what it is now. We are working closely with Eagle. We're working closely with the West Bloomfield Township Environmental Board. We will meet all requirements that any of them have and ensure that what is put back in maintains what is there now.
Absolutely. And we appreciate your work, all of your effort, and we appreciate your time to kind of clarify some things right here on the Splash. Once again, joining us from the Road Commission of Oakland County, Senior Communications Manager Craig Bryson. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, like we said, talking about a very, very sticky situation and subject and topic right here in West Bloomfield, but we like to present all the perspectives that are involved with this 90-year-old culvert replacement project. And with that being said, there's a whole nother perspective regarding that project that we want to really kind of present also. So we recently actually had an opportunity to speak with Green Lakes Association President Paul Benson on the Splash to talk a little bit more about his perspective on that 90-year-old culvert replacement project. Mr. Benson, thank you for your time and for being here.
There's a retention pond or pond that is adjacent to Green Lake. It has always retained the stormwater of the 17 residents that live around this pond. Recently, a dam that was built attached to a bike path has been removed, and the Road Commission's project is not considering the elevation of where that dam was. So it's dropping the water level over a foot, if not 20 inches to that. And it's causing issues with our water quality and sending high volumes of total phosphorus from fertilizers that go into that pond now is being drained continuously into Green Lake. You can see that some of the photos that you posted, the huge algae blooms that came directly from this pond then flows into our lake is causing a massive overflow at the inlet that you see there in this photo behind me. This is the algae bloom that's created that from that pond, that of all the nutrients that are coming into our lake from that pond. We talked to the township and talked to the Road Commission about putting that dam at an elevation that's a safe elevation. We had tests done of the pond, and it is actually almost 4 times what the township ordinances allow to be drained to another water course. So this water has to be contained. It is not legal to come to our lake. And that's why we're addressing the township to say, you have to consider this a contaminant. And that's how you define it, as a contaminant. And that's what we want. There's solutions that we could do with the township and the residents there.
Right.
Because when that dam did exist, it held the water higher elevations. When they got fresh rainwater, they were able to dilute the high nutrient count in the pond, helping their environmental impact and ecosystem in the pond itself. And yet we would only get the water in extreme rain events. And right now we are not. We're getting it on a constant flow. The pond is not going to be healthier as a result, and our lake is going to take a negative impact because of it. We were asking the township to contain that water and get it back to how it was. And that's basically
so I want you to, and we do appreciate that. With us right here live on the Splash, resident in West Bloomfield, president and also president of Green Lake Association, but representing himself, Mr. Paul Benson, talking a little bit about the culvert, the Road County Commission of Oakland County's work on this culvert and how it can affect possibly this Green Lake and the water storm off, and how it is currently affecting, I should say, with the evidence that we have. So you mentioned something about an ordinance that's supporting what you're talking about. Can you go a little bit more into the township ordinance that you're talking about a little bit, please?
Well, basically, the township ordinance has a water criteria checklist or a chart that has a total phosphorus level that is allowed to be passed to another water course or floodplain or stream or river. And that elevation or level is a 0.05 milligrams per liter. Right now, our test has indicated that the pond right now is at 0.18 milligrams per liter, so almost 4 times what is allowed to be passed to another water course. And this is where we're asking the township to immediately, contain that water until proper solutions can be resolved to fix and get that pond water to a level that is safe to be passed to the rest of the watershed. And basically with the road commission, the ordinances require that everything has to have a full compliance to all the ordinances for the road commission to even start digging. And this is where we're asking the township to, we have to follow all the ordinances. Those are the things that protect our environment. And we don't let our residents, we have to follow them. That's just the bottom line. And if you follow them,
100%.
our health of our ecosystems will be better. And the road
I
commission
completely understand that.
Yeah.
No, please continue.
The road commission, I talked with Andrew Peters. He was the head guy that I was communicating with at the road commission. And he basically said that the road commission doesn't do water quality. So they'll address the engineering aspects of it, but they don't deal with what's in the water and what is being drained. I then called. I then called Eagle because they said, well, we had to get an Eagle permit for this construction project, and I talked with Eagle Part 301, but that's the transportation division of Eagle. It is not the water quality division. So really, there is with the road commission and Eagle, there has been no one from water quality division a part of this project. Fortunately for us, the township has strict ordinances on water quality.
Right. And we appreciate your perspective in providing those facts in regards to that side of the story. But we as we kind of wrap up, Mr. Benson, I do want to kind of overall for our listeners and our watchers and our local residents who may be affected by this, may or may not, what is the overall message that you want them to kind of take away from this, from watching or listening to this?
Well, we've known it for a long time that heavy fertilizing your yards that go down to a lake or stream is detrimental to the health of that body of water. And the residents on this pond, they don't swim in the pond. It's a lagoon that they don't use it for recreational. It's just a stormwater retaining pond for the fertilizer, and they all fertilize. I walked the other day, there was 5 fertilizer signs out on their yards. So it is just their place to have all the fertilizer run into it, and then now it appears that it's going to be running into our lake. And we don't, I think the fertilizing is what is the whole project. If they clean the water and get it to a state that is below the criteria of the township's ordinances, then there's no problem. But as of right now, it's 4 times as high as it's allowed to drain to our lake. And that's why it has to stop. And we don't want to
and we thank you for ultimately.
Yeah, we don't want to affect the rest of the Huron River watershed. We're a headwater of the Huron River watershed, which we're going to go to lake to lake to lake. And to have a 5-acre lagoon be a contaminant pond that we're going to allow to just go all the way through the Huron River, it's going to have a negative impact on all the fish population, the habitats that you have. It's never ending. Yes. It's like we're supposed to be stewards of our environment and leave it better than we came with it. And right now,
and that's why we have you here to prevent the facts in regards to that side of the story, Mr. Benson. But we definitely have to wrap up, and we do appreciate your time, and I definitely do appreciate all your evidence. Once again, president of the Green Lakes Association, but representing himself right here on the Splash, talking about Green Lakes and the covert in West Bloomfield, how it affects the community and water runoff. Paul Benson, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
A lot of great information right there regarding that 90-euro covert replacement project and the different perspectives that it will be affecting between the community, the residents, different local lakes, bodies of waters, and things of that nature. So a lot of great things going on there, or great information, I should say, but it's up to you to determine how to dissect that. But you can watch that entire interview, all of them, on our website, civiccentertv.com. Click on the On Demand tab, and it'll take you to all of those right there. You can watch it in its entirety. Now, we all know that the internet and social media, specifically for our youth, can have certain effects physically and mentally. So there is a local organization that's putting on an event to kind of manage and talk about that a little bit more. The Be Happy and Healthy panel for parents and teens will be taking place West Bloomfield High School in the upcoming week. And joining us right here live on the Splash, talk a little bit more about that event, we have program coordinator for Maple Grove Community Education, Lisa Kaplan. Thank you for being here, Lisa.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. A very, very interesting event. I can't wait to break this down with you, but I just want you to first and foremost start off with describing, giving out the details for this event, please.
Okay, so it will be at 7 o'clock on September 18th at the West Bloomfield High School I Center, which is their media center, their library. It is open to the public, but we're hoping to attract parents and teens who are interested in improving their lives. So the name of this program is Be Happy, Be Healthy, and we have 3 speakers, including myself, who will be covering a variety of topics to help teens and their parents navigate mental health issues.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so I love that. Now, with that being said, social media, can we talk about the impact that social media has on our mental health and for us as parents and students?
Yes. So one of our speakers is a psychotherapist, Brian Granger, who works with teens. And a lot of his work involves dealing with social media. So teens have the impression, because of social media, that everybody's life is perfect and wonderful, and they're invited to parties,
Oh.
they're doing activities, and it makes people feel like my life doesn't measure up. I don't I'm not invited to these things. I don't have this quality of lifestyle. So what that does is it adds to depression and anxiety in teens. So Brian will be talking about how parents and teens can navigate that whole social media problem, and also normalizing it, making it clear that people post only positive things. You don't hear about the negative things that go on in people's lives. So that's what Brian will be
Correct.
talking.
Correct. And I love that. With us right here live on the Splash, talking about this upcoming event, the Be Happy and Healthy panel that'll be at West Bloomfield High School, September 18th, 7 p.m. We have program coordinator from Maple Grove Community Education, Lisa Kaplan. Now, from your perspective, we're dealing with a lot of different things that either distracts us or that can kind of like eat away at our mental health in general. So what are some common ways? You don't have to give away the entire secret sauce now. What are some common ways that you kind of help people, or that you would give people to kind of cope with those things?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of us know that COVID did a number on our mental health. The amount of people seeking help for depression and anxiety and other mental health disorders has skyrocketed since the pandemic. And many people don't have coping skills. Parents will tell us that they don't have coping skills. So, how can they teach their kids coping skills? So, what we'll be talking about is healthy ways to cope. And unhealthy ways include using alcohol and other drugs, and that includes marijuana. So we'll be talking about how that actually hurts, not helps people's mental health. And we'll be talking about all sorts of different coping skills, from exercise to hobbies to seeking positive support people in your life. It'll be a pretty comprehensive discussion.
Nice, nice. So, are there any other local organizations, mental health clubs, or type of resources that you all collaborate with? And can you just talk about how important it is for you all to collaborate with community resources like that?
Sure. So this program is run by the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, the Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, and Henry Ford Maple Grove Center. So we put
Okay.
together this program, but any of us can connect anybody with resources throughout our community for absolutely anything, for mental health issues, inpatient or outpatient, with any type of support group, any type of school assistance. One of our panelists is a mental health professional from the West Bloomfield High School. Carla Jones is their mental health specialist, and all of us work together to help people in our community, whoever needs it. So all it takes is making a phone call. On our flyer is the email address for Lisa Berkey, who's the executive director of the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition. And if people start there and contact her, she will reach out to those of us who can help to get resources in place for people.
Got you, got you. Understanding. Something just came to my mind, Lisa. I want to ask you about. So when we're talking about health in general, right? Let's say physical health. In order to kind of maintain it, you have to do exercises to kind of keep it up to par so that it doesn't deteriorate, that type of thing. I'm not the expert, but I would imagine it would be something similar with mental health, right? Now we're talking about coping and dealing with different issues and things of that nature, just coping with them. But what about actually building your mental health? Are there any exercises or anything that we could do to build and make our mental health stronger?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. So we all know that we should eat right and exercise and drink water and get enough sleep and all those things to keep our bodies healthy. But many of these things
Hmm.
also help with mental health. So eating right, healthy food, not just junk food, exercise regularly. They say 30
Yeah.
minutes every day is good for our mental health. Sleep is incredibly important. Our teens do not get enough sleep.
Hmm.
Kids that age should be getting around 8 or 9 hours, and most of them do not. So, sleep can impact a person's mental health. But not just that, unplugging from social media, connecting with nature, taking time to just relax. In our schools, they now teach yoga and meditation to help kids to develop these healthy mental health coping skills that they can use even when they're not in school. So, yes, the answer to your
There we
question,
go.
we should be building up those skills just like we build up our physical health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I always say this, like, I always have that idea, but it means nothing for me. It means a lot more coming from experts like yourself, Lisa. We appreciate that. Lastly, just let's go ahead and give a recap again. The details of the event, and anyone listening or watching right now who's interested in learning more about it, please give out that information.
Yes, so anybody is welcome to attend, no reservation needed. Come to West Bloomfield High School on September 18th. We begin at 7 o'clock. It'll be in the I Center. It'll be a panel discussion of 3 panelists and plenty of time to ask questions and hear answers. And
Mhm.
afterward, the panelists are willing to stay and meet privately with anybody who wants to have a private discussion. So we hope to see you there.
Absolutely. Giving you an opportunity to talk to the professionals when it comes to mental health, how to cope with them, and how to build strength in your mental health. Once again, thank you again for being here. All your information and your time. Program coordinator for Maple Grove Community Education, Lisa Kaplan. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Very interesting conversation nonetheless, but it's a very, very important event going on locally in our community that we like to let people be aware of. So once again, September 18th, West Bloomfield High School, 7 p.m. Find out more information going directly to hfhs.org. Henry Ford healthsystem.org. Now, there is an anniversary that we are celebrating right here locally. Also, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society celebrating their 50th anniversary with an open house event. We actually had an opportunity recently to speak with the Museum and Communications Assistant for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, Anna Smith. And we want to thank Anna for being here. And first and foremost, can you just tell us a little bit more about this event and overall what we can expect?
GWB has tons of events coming up this fall that we're sort of going to delve deeper into the history of the Historical Society and what we've accomplished. But this upcoming Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. at the Orchard Lake Museum is going to feel more like a party. And we have lots of fun activities planned. It's going to be a great family-friendly event. There will be things to do outside the museum and inside the museum. So rain or shine, we'll be here. We have our lawn. Yes, we'll have our historic doctor's carriage out. People can take photos there. It's a great photo opportunity, really fun to see groups come over and pose with the carriage. On top of that, in terms of the celebration aspect, we plan to have sort of a 70s staple, I've been told. It's an ice cream float. They'll be made with Verner's and Fago, which are our Michigan staples. Obviously, they're Michigan products. And we'll have cupcakes as well. So we're really just sort of taking a look at the 50 years that we've been here, but also it's going to be kind of like a time capsule. So we'll have these multi-level looks at what the world, as well as the United States, Michigan, and then also West Bloomfield, what all of these places looked like in 1974 and kind of what was happening during that year on each of these levels. So it's going to be a really fun event.
I know, right? A lot to look forward to with that being said too, Anna. So I want to kind of ask, how do you feel like the organization itself, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, has evolved over those 50 years?
Absolutely. I will say that one thing that's been consistent over 50 years, though many things have changed, is that, this historical society really got started because a group of citizens thought that it was very important to preserve the history and sort of the natural beauty of, at first, just Orchard Lake Village in 1974, but then by 78, we had sort of expanded to cover the 4 areas that we serve today. So people really show passion for the history of this area, which I think is fantastic. And the way that we've sort of evolved over time to continue to spark interest in history as well as preserve it is we've really moved to sort of an online format, whether that be sort of making aspects of our collection available online for the public to view for free, which you can see on our website. We also have ongoing projects such as our Collecting Memories project. We usually do a theme for each month of the year where we ask citizens to submit their stories to us about memories they have, whether it be about, we had vintage cars in August. For September, our theme will be memories of school. People can go online and they can submit their stories to us, any photos or videos they have, just memories of our 4 communities. And an exciting front on the Collecting Memories project is we actually now have sort of a generic Collecting Memories form on our website, and we are encouraging people to come and submit any memories they have about their time in our 4 communities.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Anna, and that's a great way to put it too. Also, I just to reset the show, join us right here live on the Splash, Museum and Communications Assistant for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, Anna Smith, talking about the 50th anniversary celebration on September 8th, Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m., Orchard Lake Museum. I also want for you to talk about how the local community and residents plays a role in preserving local history. Can you just talk about the impact and the importance of that?
Yeah, absolutely. History is being made through residents of this community right now. And this historical society wouldn't run without our residents. We are completely volunteer run, so we require sort of that input and that help from the community, from residents who are interested in preserving our history, but also pulling in other people and getting them interested as well to see what these communities looked like and what they continue to look like. History is being made made every day. So a lot of our new information, and we find out new things about the history of these places, I mean, all the time. It's still happening now. And a lot of times that information comes to us from residents who have a memory that they share, and it sort of sparks this story or this lead that we follow, and we find out something new. We had a parent come in when we were doing our Apple Island field trips for the second graders this past May. Came in and saw one of our sports and recreation exhibits, and we have sort of a highlight of different Olympians who have come from West Bloomfield. And he actually informed us that, oh, well, there is another Olympian from West Bloomfield who I don't see in your exhibit. So it's things like that. We're constantly finding out new things about our community and about history.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's the point of it too. Like, we are all residents of the living history of West Bloomfield, Greater West Bloomfield, Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake. So it's all right. It's, you know, it's our job to kind of preserve different things and, you know, help turn it in and make it part of history, make it part of the museum so it can tell the story of everything that happened. And I love that you explained it just as beautifully like that. So I want to kind of talk about ultimately this mapping local history project. Can you just talk about the significance of updating the map and historical sites of the area?
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about it, the first historic sites map that GWBHS did was back in 1975. So that's the year after the society actually formed, and that's even before we sort of expanded out to cover all 4 communities that we serve. It was just Orchard Lake Village back then. So updating that, 50 years later, a lot has happened in the past 50 years. We've seen a lot of changes, a lot of different buildings that now have significance that they didn't. I mean, even just a few years ago, things have changed so quickly. So that presentation is really going to be fantastic to see just how much the community has changed over the 50 years, but then also how much of it has stayed the same. A lot of the sites that you see on the original map from 75 will also be on our 2024 map, and we'll be highlighting those changes, as well as we'll have free copies of the maps to give out to people who come to the presentation, so they'll be able to look side by side and see for themselves how it's changed.
Nice, nice. And with us right here live on the Splash, Museum and Communications Assistant for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, Anna Smith, talking about the 50th anniversary open house event on September 8th, Sunday, where we will be talking about great history right here locally in our area. So just looking forward, just in general with the Historical Society, what are some of the future goals and projects Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society has planned?
That's a great question. Yeah, we are always looking for the best way and also new ways to preserve and also present the history of our communities to the public. And, we have a lot of great programs coming up just for our 50th anniversary. You mentioned our Mapping Local History presentation, where we'll talk about our historic sites maps. In November, people will be able to see a presentation where we go through the 50-year timeline of GWBHS and highlight our activities and our accomplishments as a society. Going forward, I think it will be important for GWBHS to sort of reach out to the community. It takes a lot of resources for us to keep going, and it also takes the public's interest in history for us to keep going. So whether that be with programs we'll do or partnering with different organizations in the community, the school district, for example, we do our Apple Island field trips with them, but even just being able to sort of get in the classroom and be able to present history to students is a very important thing. But it's also important to reach out to the public in general and bring them in and get them in and see what we're doing here. And then, once they're involved and they're interested, then we have more people to play a hand. Maybe someone has a special interest, that they know a lot about. They can do a presentation and, the broader community can learn more about a certain topic. It's things like that. We really want to focus on outreach going forward and how we can get the public interested in local history.
Yep. And we're happy to be a part of that channel to help get that word out there for the community that actually help the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and all of their projects and their goals going forward. We definitely appreciate you again for joining us, Anna. Lastly, just as we wrap up, give out the details, any key information regarding the September 8th 50th anniversary open house again.
Yes, absolutely. This Sunday, September 8th, at the Orchard Lake Museum. We're on the corner of Orchard Lake and Long Lake, 1 to 4 p.m., rain or shine. It's going to feel like a massive party, and there's tons of fun activities to do. It's going to be great for the whole family. You know, for example, kids who came, second graders who did our Apple Island field trips in May remember certain things they did at the museum, like the farm chores obstacle course or ringing the old green school bell, things like that. It'll be a lot of fun for everyone who comes here.
Once again, thank you again, Anna Smith, Museum and Communications Assistant for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. A great event that you want to go out to Sunday, September 8th. By the way, a lot of great things going on for our local history, just talking about what we have. For more, go to gwbhs.com or .org for more information. And like I said, one of the many things that we like to highlight that's going on in our community, Jake.
Absolutely. So many great things to see out there. I'm probably going to be out there Sunday getting some visuals, but it's going to be so great, especially to celebrate 50 years of history with Greater West Bloomfield.
And we're happy to be a part of that history. Once again, we are live, local, social. It is the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.